Ji, Assalamu alaikum viewers. My name is Farooq Ahmed. I'll be hosting your show today, Careers 360 Business Insight. Careers 360 Business Insight is an initiative of Careers 360 to help its members to understand the market dynamics and employment trends. And on each episode, we also invite somebody who is very eminent and a successful and accomplished person. Um, just like uh, a previous episode, today also we have a very uh, eminent personality. I think if I go through the full bio, probably would take me next at least 15 minutes to half an hour just to go through that. But briefly, he has been serving as a director on 12 boards, and he heading quite a few of them. And I must say, he is one of those Pakistanis, who has real love and passion for its own country. Um, I think many of us do think about a country, but actually that does not translate into real actions. But that guy is believes in action, and his recent initiative, which is JumpStart Pakistan, is reflective of that. He's also heading that initiative. So, without a further ado, let me welcome Mr. Amjad Pervez Saab. Amjad Saab, Assalamu alaikum ji.
Ji walaikum salam, and thank you so much, Farooq Bhai, for having me. It's a pleasure, indeed an honor to be coming on a program like that that is doing public service. I actually see, Farooq Bhai, a lot of noise and chatter on Facebook, Zoom, StreamYard, which is good because it is in fact self development for a lot of people. But ultimately, when you invest half an hour, 15 minutes, even 45 minutes or an hour, what one needs to at the end of it say, have I contributed something, or have I learned something which benefits me and the people who are actually watching this? So as you explained in the before we came on, I'm somebody who wants to empower the next generation. So I applaud your work. I applaud your
Thank you very
dedication
much.
and your professionalism, in which you're trying to empower people and actually give them the confidence to take charge of their lives. And that, inshallah, will then it's called the accelerator effect. Once you do something which has a strategic objective, and then you go to action, it empowers you and it empowers others. And that is the will and the way of our deen as well.
MashaAllah ji. I mean, I think also uh, on behalf of Careers 360 and all its members who actually right now are in Pakistan and also in Bangladesh and other parts of the world as well, I'd just like to say thank you very much. It's wonderful to have you on our program, and I think uh, definitely we would like to know more about you, and also we would like to know, how this idea of Jumpstart Pakistan came in, and where do you see this is heading?
Okay, very briefly, I left Pakistan at the age of 10. My father was in British Army. He came to UK. I came here. I'll keep it very short. 1983, I graduated, specialized in marketing, product displacements, went into financial services. Absolutely hated working for other people. As I explained to you, I'm a very kind of
Sure.
disruptive person. I get bored very quickly, so I want variety in my life. uh, so 1984, I left my career and set up a small family shop, a corner shop, hatti,
Wow.
right? Uh, uh, Imagine I had in 1984, I had 25 people working for me. I had a 4 million marketing budget. I had my own personal car, everything. Left that to stand behind a counter selling Afro-Caribbean food and niche market food.
Nice.
But you know what? If you want to change the world, you take baby steps first. Then you
Sure.
learn to walk, and then as you walk on the walk, you get the scars on your back of falling down and learning from that.
Sure.
Uh, and that business grew, mashallah. But as the business grew,
Just
uh,
on this point, I'm just sorry to interrupt you. I mean, I think one of the thing is many people actually fail to take that first step, which is very necessary to start the whole thing, isn't it?
They can't, the entrepreneur is somebody. I actually see, you call yourself careers 360s.
That's true.
So probably half of my life has been spent working for government institutions which are directly related to education and enterprise. So I
Mashallah.
actually was chair of an organization here for Lord Young when we were actually re-engineering the industrial policy of UK from 2010 to 2016. So I actually led that. So
Very
I'm
nice.
actually very familiar with the kind of work that you really want to do. But what tends to happen, people have good ideas. Yeah. They get really excited about, I've got an idea. I don't want to share it anybody. Somebody will steal it. Right? Well, if you don't share it, how are you going to actually scale it or, make it happen?
True.
Yeah. So I think the one of the best traits that an entrepreneur needs to have, and there's a caveat to this: not everyone can be an entrepreneur.
Hmm.
Yeah. So one of the traits is that you love taking risks.
Hmm.
Actually, you get a buzz out of taking risks. Say, some people get a buzz out of smoking, and other
Yeah.
people get a buzz out of kite flying. Yeah,
True.
some people
True.
get a buzz out of drinking beer,
True.
right? An entrepreneur actually lives on the adrenaline of
Hmm.
taking a risk, right? So all these schools and incubation centers that try to de-risk everything,
Hmm.
sanitize the whole process of entrepreneurialism, it will not work
Hmm.
because the very essence, yes, you must do risk mitigation.
Hmm.
It'd be stupid not to do risk mitigation.
Hmm.
But when you take the element of risk out of, right, what in Urdu so we call it nasha, right? It's
Hmm.
intoxication. This
Hmm.
is janoon, right? In English we call it intoxication. You actually absolutely fall in love with, when you fall in love with something, it becomes the very embodiment of your character. You will then go to action because you want to realize it so much. It is part and parcel. This is not a 9 till 5 job.
True. Very true. Very true.
It
And
is
something that actually should wake you up in the morning as well.
wake you up. It should actually fling you out of the bed, and you want to
Bed.
actually
Yeah.
be consumed by it.
True.
Yeah.
True.
So I mean, if you look at the great entrepreneurs, they live and breathe this 24/7. Yeah. So
Sounds good.
I'll give you an analogy.
Hmm.
When I say you fall in love, when you fall in love with somebody, you actually look at the positive things
Hmm.
in them. Yeah. Your negatives, hogi, yes, you'll appreciate it, but you focus on the positives, because if you look at the negatives, you will give up once you fall on your face, because you will fall on your face, you will make mistakes, right?
Hmm.
But if you are in true love with your work and your project, you will say, yes, I'll learn something from that, but you'll carry on. But if you're doing it for money,
True. True.
then you'll just walk away.
Walk away. And Amrita, what do you say to those people? I mean, sometimes, I mean, I think I was just having a conversation a few days back with somebody, and he said, you should take a risk, but it should be calculated in terms of, instead of jumping into it straight away, you probably, like, for example, if you are um, uh, doing a full-time job, you should make sure you at least have 6 months of operational and your personal expenses and everything before you you take that risk.
Okay. It is the duty of every individual, whether you're a man, woman, girl, boy, to ensure your security.
Hmm.
So in Urdu, we call it roti, kapda, or makan.
जी
Yeah.
जी मैम.
So the food on the table for the family and yourself is a must. There is no risk taking in that.
Mhm,
Yeah. You cannot have a 99% uh, confidence that you're going to have to. It has to be 100%. Right.
mhm.
And the kapda bit is the clothes, right, that you wear, right? You look respectable, right? Because in society you need to have a profile, you need
Sure.
to you place yourself according to what your branding is,
True.
right? And the makan bit is the where you live, the house, the roof over your head, what you must have. These are the things every individual has the duty to actually deliver for themselves
Mm.
and for their families. So there is, in terms of taking risks with that,
There should not be no
uh,
compromise at all.
there should be no compromise,
Mm.
because without that you can't actually have the sense of security.
True.
And what
True.
is happening in the developing economies is that even though people are billionaires, there is no safety network,
True.
right? People are still in their mind vulnerable. But if I become ill, I will spend hundreds of thousands of rupees or pounds or dollars, whatever, on that. So they want more, right? They want more. Greed, right? Then
True.
becomes the habitual poison,
Yes.
and then as a result of it you get corruption. So it feeds on that. So
Feeds onto that.
you were saying about risk. Look, today, in today's world of technology and big data, right, you could do predictive analysis. You could actually launch a product, right, and test it on Google, and through Google Analytics and various other tools, right, find out what the value proposition of your product is. What is value proposition?
Hmm.
Value proposition is what product, what features, what market segment, and which people, right? You can test whether people are actually ready for this, right? So you don't actually have to launch it, you can test it, right? On your Facebook page, or you could do, sponsorship. There are hundreds of different ways of
One
doing
of
it.
the
We haven't
things.
got time to actually go into that,
So yeah,
right?
I
So you're
understand.
de-risking.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes,
Sorry,
so
sorry. Please continue.
you're de-risking.
Mm.
So entrepreneurship to some extent has become a science,
Oh yes,
right?
yes.
So there's a methodology. You
Hmm.
were talking about vision.
Hmm.
Before you even go to vision, you need the value proposition, right? So what pain is there in society? What are the problem that the customers are facing in society that you're going to overcome? What most people say, I've got an idea, right? Okay, it's your idea. They actually go and produce a product. I was reading, I think it was Bloomsburg or some other major company, McKinsey's, I think it was. They did an analysis. 46% of the startups fail because of the mismatch between the product and the customers.
Hmm.
They thought they had an idea. They made a beautiful pitch. They got the money. They had a beautiful marketing company, right? That did it. But you know what? They didn't test the product.
Hmm.
And there was a mismatch between what the customers actually wanted. And then another way of actually de risking, right, is finding out, right, which companies are doing really bad service.
Hmm.
Your utilities companies like gas, water, you ring them up and you're on the phone for an hour before
True.
actually somebody will talk to you.
Talk
And
to
you
you.
sat there thinking, it's costing me a fortune on my data, right? Just wasted, right, an hour of my time, and I'm actually paying for a service, right?
True.
So what needs to happen is, that is a pain that is happening. You either actually go to that company and say, look, I've got a product and service that will enable your customers to connect almost immediately to you,
Hmm.
right? So you solve the problem for them.
Hmm.
Or what you do is you create a company that directly competes with them in the same sector, but your customer journey,
Hmm.
right, is so beautiful, right, that everybody leaves them and you actually go forward. So you could actually create a new product, or you can change the existing customer journey in order for you
Hmm.
to be successful, right? So have the customer in mind rather than the product or what you fancy, right? A lot of people
Yeah.
might
That's
uh,
another kind of people that trap that people falls into.
Farooq, a lot of people actually, what happens is they test the product amongst their friends and family. And because they're friends, they won't say anything critical, right?
True.
And just because they've tested it with 10, 20 people, and they might even buy the first batch, right? But actually, the first batch buying is not a customer. They just came to test you because you promised something, they liked it, they purchased it. But if the product features and when they consume the product or service is not what is expected, imagine you go to a doctor and you tell them the symptoms and he gives you a pill and the pill doesn't solve it.
Mhm.
Right, and you go back and the doctor tries to give you the same pill, even though he's more qualified than you. You're going to say, "Excuse me, doctor, you already gave me that pill, and I'm still got that pain.
Pain,
Right,
yeah.
give me something different." Right, so don't try to give the customer something that he's tried but he's not happy with.
Happy with it.
So data analysis, right, and customer these customer surveys that you see every time you go on phone, the good companies, soon as you put your phone down, you'll get a text. Can you
Yeah.
can you tell us from 1 to 5 what was the telephone handler like? Will you
The
tell
quality
your
of the service, yeah.
absolutely. And in the developing countries, right, there is no concept of customer service.
Customer servicing. Exactly.
Customer journey, they don't even understand what a customer journey is. So
True.
in the mix of all this, how can you have a vision,
True. True. Very
right?
true.
so
I
so
agree with that. Uh, so on this in terms of like I I would definitely would like to know in terms of what are you, how did you come about this idea of Jumpstart Pakistan, and what really you trying to do? I mean,
okay, so like I said to you, I've lived in UK for the last kind of 50 years.
mhm,
Most of my life, I've been involved in enterprise or working with young people, trying to move what I call moving them from the wage cage mentality. Yeah. So I'll go to school, I'll get my A levels or whatever, get my degree and work for somebody. My idea is, and it's not just my idea, people who champion entrepreneurialism, right? It is that you, you you actually come to a point in life. Sometimes it doesn't have to be as soon as you leave school. You could work and learn at work, right? So you learn at other people's expense, right? So you learn about human resources, buying, infrastructure, human capital development,
mm,
purchasing, right? And negotiations, right? Product placement, and all that kind of stuff. You learn at work. But if you become a cog in a big institution and you just specialize in one thing and you're not multi skilled, you see, if to run your organization, you don't need to be a specialist. I argue that you need to be a generalist. So you
journalist,
need to know about general things about every aspect of business. But what you do is you employ people who are experts 10 times better than you.
yeah.
So
Mhm,
I employ financiers and financial accountants and chartered accountants who are, you know, much qualified than I am. I
mhm,
employ computer analysts who are 10 times better than me, right?
mhm,
But what I do is I bring them onto my vision, right? So actually, so I've been involved in this journey, and as overseas Pakistani, uh, I am defined by my country. My identity is defined by my country and what happens to it. You said at the beginning that I joined 12 boards. Alhamdulillah, Allah is good to us. We've got our business, right? So roti, kapda, and makan is not a problem, right?
Alhamdulillah.
Ra- so then you come to a point where you self-actualize. Why am I here in this world? Is it just money, 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 right? So probably about 15 years ago, it dawned on me that I need to pass all these skills to other people, and that's when I started working for the government. And in 2016, late 2016, I was delivering a lecture in London, and Khurram Zoberi
Ji, ji.
from America, he is actually the founder. I am not the founder
Oh,
of
I see.
Jumpstart Pakistan,
I see.
right?
I see.
So he set that concept up in 2014. uh, so I was delivering a lecture there on how the developing countries could take some of the industrial policies and strategies from the developed economies and not just take it, don't copy and paste it, right? Take it and create a fit that actually fits your circumstances in the country.
Mhm.
And when I finished, Khurram stood up and said, look, what Amjad is talking about, we're actually beginning to do that in Pakistan.
Mhm. Mhm.
S- I mean, it was late in the night, about probably about 11 o'clock. So to travel from where I live to go to London is 4 hours drive,
Mhm.
right? So it's 10 o'clock at night. Imagine I'm going to come back at 2 o'clock if I leave, right? So
Mhm.
we started talking around about 10 o'clock. We didn't finish talking till 3 o'clock in the morning.
Wow.
You know? Because I, as a Pakistani, and I'm sure people in Bangladesh, people in Indonesia, people in Turkey who are overseas, right? Because they're defined by what happens in Pakistan or in Bangladesh or in Turkey or wherever. And that is why, people in Pakistan don't seem to understand why overseas Pakistanis are so, obsessed about helping Pakistan.
Pakistan.
Because it doesn't matter what money I have, it doesn't matter, what title I have. When they say to me, I am a Pakistani, ultimately in their mind, they're thinking it's a corrupt nation, it's
Mhm.
this and that. So this person must be of that characteristics.
Mhm.
So in order to actually, realize my self-actualization, right, I realized that I needed to do something in Pakistan. I didn't know what, right? So when Khurram actually said, this is what we're trying to do, but he said to me, come to Pakistan.
Mhm.
I can't explain everything to you. Come and have a look at it. I actually went, and they were then primarily working with the universities
Mhm.
and teaching them how they should start their own business, startups and
Mhm.
pitching and all that kind of stuff. And actually, what really blew me away, Farooq Bhai, was the hunger of the young people.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Very
number
true.
one. And secondly, the respect they showed for learning. Yeah.
True.
And the tenacity of the hunger to do something because they were facing such severe circumstances,
Mhm. Very
right?
true.
So they had
Very
the brain power, they had the hunger, they had the passion, and the circumstances of their economic environment forced them to actually. So when I saw that, and I thought, this is something I must do. But then I suggested to the board of JumpStart Pakistan that focusing on the startups is a long-term journey. 80% or 90% of those startups across the world fail
true.
in
Yeah.
the first 3 years,
Very
right?
true.
Pakistan was at a stage and still is where we're actually at the a cliff's edge in terms of finance. So
Yeah.
yes, we need the startups to feed into the ecosystem. But what we desperately needed was our SMEs, the small to medium enterprises, to scale,
Scale up.
right? And the circumstances are all there. Geographically, we're located, right? We have over 9 million, right, overseas Pakistanis flung across the globe from Australia to New Zealand to Middle East to Europe to Korea to England, right, to America to Canada, right? And they've been there for over 60 years.
Mhm.
In UK, it is the fifth generation of Pakistanis now, right? So mine was second, my kids are third, and grandkids and their kids, this is the fifth generation, right?
True.
But we've not been able to create a link between what happens in Pakistan,
Mhm.
right, with all the mineral resources, agricultural potential,
True.
right, all the local markets, right, young population, right? Granted that it's not educated, but 4% of 200 million is a lot of people. Yeah.
Yeah.
But so, so what I said to them is that yes, we need to focus on the startups, but we need to create an ecosystem of enterprise.
Mhm.
I.e., for a population of 200 million plus, we haven't got a multinational.
True. Very true.
Right? And if the population by 2050 is going to double and only 6% goes to university and the remainder 94% is not doing anything. Where's mass education and vocational training,
Mm-hmm.
right? And they listened to me very tentatively and they said, this is government's job. I said, but the government hasn't done anything for the last 40 years. Are you just going to sit there and wait for the government,
True.
right? And they just, uh, and one guy who I won't name him, who was a senator in the board, he said, You're proposing an alternative government."
Mm-hmm.
I said, with the greatest of respect, sir, politicians are civil servants. They take the wages from us.
True.
They are our servants. When they become our masters, it's time to take the control back. And that is not happening in the developing countries.
Countries,
We
unfortunately.
actually, Farooq bhai, what happens when a politician comes into a meeting, everybody stands up as though, Nauzubillah, God Almighty has just landed, right? Yeah. When elections happen, right? There's so much energy, dole, damakka,
Yeah.
baje, fireworks,
And
right? Get
false
this man.
promises as well.
And when they get in, you can't even get in touch with them. They don't answer the call. They're too busy making the money,
Money.
creating their network to do that, right? So I said, yes, definitely. We will go and meet the government and we'll put a proposal to them that we want to work with them because we have a network across 30 countries. They say, "Aap hamare champion, you are a champion in Australia. There are
Thank
people
you.
in New Zealand, across the globe, right, who are desperate to help and without pay. We are volunteers,
True.
right?" So they waited about a couple of months and then they said, okay, but we don't know how to do that. You've been doing that in Europe, right? Would you take charge of it?
Mm-hmm.
I said, let me think about it. What does it mean taking charge of it? I thought about it, and then Alhamdulillah, in 2017 I accepted the challenge. uh, and then what we did is for the next 6 months,
Mm-hmm.
this is how long it takes when you actually want to create a vision.
True.
You were talking about a vision, so we took the next stage. We did the analysis in terms, what were the problems of Pakistan.
Mm-hmm.
How you need to understand the problems.
Exactly.
Yeah.
To come up with a
Before,
solution that actually can really work.
right, we knew actually what we wanted to do, but we wanted
Mm-hmm.
to test it. What we were talking about before.
True. True.
So what were the problems? The problems were actually, you can actually change the country by politics, but our politics was dysfunctional.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You can change the country by philanthropy. So if you look at Shaukat Khanam, what Idi is doing, there's a lot of educational stuff that is happening. But the problem with politics and philanthropy is that it can't be scaled.
Mm-hmm.
It always has a problem of resource. Yeah. The only way, right, to move forward is
Mm.
entrepreneurship, because an entrepreneur looks at a problem and it creates a sustainable, profitable
Solution.
organization, yeah, that creates wealth and employment,
Employment. Yeah.
right? That was the
Totally
key
agree.
things, right? So we then actually went about and thinking, where is Pakistan's competitive advantage, or where it should be, which will propel it in the next 10 to 15 years. This is not a short marathon. It's not a 100 meters run. It's a long marathon,
True.
right? So you've got to have an industrial policy behind it. So we then created a marketing platform for Pakistan, because Pakistan has a bad image because of what's been happening. And that was called Lift Pakistan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? So L actually, Lift is a acronym. So L is for learning and education,
Mm-hmm.
I is for investment, F is for funding, and T is for technology. So those were the first four core drivers of
Mm-hmm.
transformation.
That's nice.
Yeah. So we had our first conference in Convention Center in 2018, where over 10,000 people from across the globe came. There were 50 universities, startups, SMEs. We were focusing on the SMEs, like I've mentioned earlier. We
Sure.
made a lot of mistakes. We fell flat on our face, right? Huge learning curve.
Mm-hmm.
And then in 2019, we did 3 days in Lahore and 3 days in Islamabad. We had over 20,000 people across the globe, physical 20,000 people. 60,000 people come and actually, look at the hunger for
Mm-hmm.
change.
True.
And then what we realized that those four sectors were not enough. Yeah. Which what now it meant that we needed to broaden the sectors. So what we realized, where is the natural competitiveness of Pakistan? And that is agriculture,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? So 60% of the population is there. We have 6 seasons. Our soil is beautiful. We are most irrigated country on planet Earth, but we waste so much of our water,
True.
right? Our technology in agri-tech is not up to date. Our
Mm-hmm.
logistics, our cold warehousing, right? Value adding, processing is non-existent. We import everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
Our foreign exchange, $2 billion a year are spent on cooking oil. When you can grow sarson, mustard, and all these vegetable oils. I remember in the 60s when I actually came to UK, every village used to have its own oil mill, teli jise kehte the,
जी जी बिल्कुल
right?
बिल्कुल
Right?
I
So
remember that, yeah.
right, तो वो पेंजे आया करते थे, for cotton, right?
Yes,
So
that's true.
looms हुआ करती थी हर घर में, right? So we had the cottage industry, and
Mm.
in the 70s and 80s, Pakistan actually became the first tiger economy.
Yeah,
We were
yeah.
the best performers.
I'd just like to ask, that in terms of, I mean, definitely you mentioned that entrepreneurship could be the solution for many of Pakistanis to move forward and have a better and brighter Pakistan. And SMEs also could be part of it. But I think to me, it looks like, for all this, the one ingredient probably that is fundamental is the money, so how do you see that, where that money is coming in terms of helping those entrepreneurs to realize their ideas, and also the SMEs if they want to scale up?
Okay, uh, everybody asks me that question, and it's an obvious question to ask. And when I give the answer, people are shocked. Actually, a true entrepreneur isn't looking for money. If it was for money, why is it that 90% of the startups who have the money actually fail, right? So, where we really need to focus, right, is how and what problem are you solving for the customers? I keep coming back to that because this is so important. Unless and until you actually focus on solving the customer's problem, you will not succeed. And in Pakistan, there are so many people who've got so much money. They've got more money than the government. Individuals have more money than the government has.
Very true.
I go to Pakistan regularly like you. I am shocked at the amount of money that individuals talk about. You know, they talk about hundreds of millions of dollars as though when we talk about £1,000, they talk, in the same breath, they talk about, they say £1,000. What's that? Yeah. Right. So, your money is not a problem.
Probably.
Yeah. Actually, what we've got to do is what I'm suggesting, and what we're doing is to create an industrial policy.
Mhm.
Disinvest in Pakistan. Currently this online conference is going on, which started
True.
on the 12th. It will finish on Monday. The whole idea. So JumpStart Pakistan is the functional organization that has reach in Pakistan across the cities, the villages, the universities, and then it has chapters across the globe with overseas Pakistanis and friends of Pakistan and institutions who want to invest in Pakistan.
Mhm.
So Lift Pakistan is the marketing brand that says, look, this is not all bad. There are some real opportunities here. Invest in Pakistan actually takes those images and says, here are the sectors where we actually see real opportunities, but there are bottlenecks there,
Mhm.
right? So currently we have 12 segments, or what we call verticals, industry sectors, which we are promoting. So we have education, like I said, we have health, we have precision engineering, we have tourism, we have creative industry, we have green technologies, we have textiles, and we have construction. There are others. And what we do is we get overseas Pakistanis to come part of WhatsApp groups in those sectors,
Sure.
right? So this invest in conference is fundamentally going to first review each sector's potential. So do a full SWOT analysis, do a pest
Mm,
analysis. So what is it worth, right? Where is it that the investment is needed to take away the bottlenecks?
mm,
Now the government institutions are already now come on board because we've been going since 2004. We're doing their effectively job, but we want to do it in partnership. We're not saying
mm,
we know it all. What we're saying is at least we have a strategy, we have a trajectory, we have a 15-year plan, which is split into 5-year plans. Come on board, right? So then we say to the government, if it's something to do with government, if it's ease of doing business, I'll give you a couple of examples.
mm.
Currently, if you want to open a bank account, it's a nightmare in Pakistan.
Mm.
Go meet this guy,
Sure.
take this guy to a dinner, get this guy to do this, right? Yaar, kamal hai, maine kaam, I want to do work, right? You want to have dinners, right? This is ridiculous, right?
True.
you know you you, you want to buy something. Oh, I know this colonel, I know this general, I know this guy, I know this senator. You're wasting my time.
True.
And this is why we've created a quagmire of wo main lallu bhai ki baat kar raha tha na.
Mm,
This guy as a product is the best product on planet earth, but he insists that he sits there and he serves and he takes the money. He doesn't want to bring in people. He doesn't want to even give them the formula. I don't mind him
true.
giving the formula, but
And
at least give them the
and
ingredient.
generally he faces the consequence towards the end of the life when he realizes he's probably have 3 4 people predecessor who probably going to sit on the same spot, you know.
Exactly, right? So he's created a prison for himself and the rest of the community,
True.
right? It doesn't realize it till he gets to the end, but then it's too late, right? So fundamentally, right, this process of product and personality cannot continue. It has to be process led, right? Whoever wants to come in. The other problem is legal problems. Imagine that me and you do a partnership in Pakistan. We have a conflict between us. It can happen, right? We're human beings.
True.
But normally in the developed economies, you go to court, right? The judge decides. It'll take maybe 7 days. Very quickly, right? It's decided. We might not like the judgment, but we abide by it and we go off and we live
Mm,
our lives. In the developing countries, right, the minute you go to the court, first the lawyers will have you, then the judges will. There's a special guy in Pakistan, Nisar, by he's a broadcaster, and
mm.
he says, uh, judge vakil nu ki khareedna hai, judge khareed lo. He says, why do you want to buy the solicitor? You might as well buy the judge. Yeah, right,
True.
because everybody's up for sale. Yeah. Right. So,
Yes.
so we highlight the bottlenecks
Bottlenecks. Yeah.
and we actually time frame it and say, the minute you actually change these bottlenecks, we will bring in the investment. So there is a carrot, right, to the government
True.
and the institutions, right?
So I'm just in
This
terms
is
of like, sorry, I just
yeah,
want
go
to
on.
quickly get into ask this in terms of like you mentioning you have all those different things in place and you're planning to do things, but like in terms of like sometimes in my personal experience as well, when you're dealing with government organizations, it's really hard to figure out in terms of when you really be able to accomplish or finish off something. Are you facing the similar challenge as well, or you're able to set certain timelines that we will have this in place, like, let's say in six
Actually,
months or 1 year time?
Farooq Saab, what we realized, because we've been going for quite a long time now,
Mm-hmm.
nearly 6 years, what we've decided is almost like create a parallel universe. Yeah. So our members
Right.
actually they come through us. What we're promoting currently and what we're advising people is that you don't actually come to Pakistan and invest and run your own companies right now. Yeah. What we're saying, and this is the way forward, I think, is that imagine there's an SME who's got a really good product and they've got a really disruptive mindset and they want to globalize.
Mhm.
What you do is you come and invest in that company and open a branch. Imagine you are in Pakistan and you produce the best mangoes on planet Earth, right? But you want to get into European market. I've got a company in UK that has the reach. I understand negotiations. I understand terms of trade. I know how the system works. It will take you years and you will burn money in order to learn that. So what I do is I actually open up a company in UK.
Mm.
It takes me half an hour to go online. It'll cost me about £12 to set up a company, open a bank account, right? Where you sat in Pakistan can actually become a director in a UK company.
Right.
So now me and you actually can show on our website that we've got a company in Pakistan and we've got a branch in UK, right?
That's nice.
So now I've got skin in the game,
Mm.
right? I can sit on the board of directors of the company in Pakistan because they know for them to scale in Europe, they're going to need me.
True.
And I don't need to send the money to Pakistan because the scaling is going to happen outside.
Not inside.
It's going to happen in UK and right. Do you understand? So my
Yeah.
money is not a risk. If there's a conflict, a commercial conflict, so we write it in the contract that that will be resolved in the UK courts, not in the Pakistani courts,
Okay.
right? So what then happens as people see imagine after a year or 2 years, we penetrate the UK market and you're sat in Australia and there are people in 30 countries and we say, look, we've tested this product, it's worked in UK, right? Do you want to become a franchisor in Australia? Do you want to become a franchisor in Houston? Do you want to in Dubai, in
Mm.
Korea?
Mm.
Then after the first year of testing, it boom,
Yeah.
because we've tested it, we understand right. And this network actually is what I call the accelerator of economic growth.
Mm.
So our target is that in the next 10 years, inshallah, with the 12 sectors that we've picked, and through this model of partnering and joint ventures. And the other thing is, at the moment, online, there's no PayPal account in Pakistan.
Yeah.
So online trading is very limited. So when you actually do a joint venture with me, I can set up the portal in UK, right? And I've got a PayPal account.
Mm.
So all of a sudden, I don't need PayPal to go to Pakistan,
True.
right? So you've got a portal that could be global. So all of a sudden, what have I given you? I've given you access to market. I've given you capital, right? I've given you global reach, right? And more importantly, you've got knowledge about world's economies and world markets and the parameters that are needed for you to actually enter those markets.
True.
Governments can never do that. It's the job of the entrepreneurs. Because
Entrepreneurs and the
why?
business people. Yeah. Business people.
Farooq Saab, why?
Yeah.
Because ultimately, I will be making the profit. It
True.
is the profit incentive and taking that risk, what we talked about right at the beginning, right? That is the driving force, right? And once you sat in Pakistan, realize that I am your driving force in global expansion, are you going to mess with me?
True.
You're not. You're going to come very close to me.
True. True.
Right?
Very true. Ji. Very
So
true.
this is the real model, and this is what Invest in Pakistan is currently doing. So if you
Excellent.
go online, right, there are pitches actually happening by SMEs, by startups and big companies, right? They're looking for overseas investors, right? This is the chance, my friends, right? You're not going to get
That
anything.
sounds.
Farooq bhai, you're not going to get anything better. We call Jumpstart a movement. It is not an organization.
Mhm.
You could become a leader in, if you're a specialist in green technology, right?
True.
Come to Jumpstart. You can take charge of a vertical. But what we say to you is you just can't talk. Create a group of people globally who are interested in green technologies, right? Tell us what you're doing, what is the world is doing. Bring the innovation to Pakistan,
Pakistan.
right? We're not going to give you the money
True.
because you're the expert. right?
Yeah,
If you're don't be going to the government and saying, look, I've got this solar thing, right? Can you, they might be able to give you some sort of a better rebate in terms of the tariff, right? But expecting from a bankrupt economy money to be given to you is nonsensical. A lot
exactly.
of the people that go see Imran Bhai and Zulfi Bhai and Jagir Tareen Bhai, they take the photo and put it
I
on the
totally get.
Facebook. I just don't get it. मुझे समझ नहीं आ रही कि ये लोग करना क्या चाहते हैं यार, उनकी ego,
Very true.
what is their vision that you want to be seen next to Imran Khan? What have you actually practically done, to actually help the country? Yeah, yes, you got your photo and you probably got 1,000 likes, not because of you, because who stood next to you. How belittling is that? That you want the
Definitely.
likes because somebody else is stood next to you. So where
Next to
is
you.
your self-actualization? Where is your vision to grow yourself? For
Where is
God's sake,
where is your own dignity and your
ah,
own
so,
contribution?
so for God's sake, do something that Imran says, please come in. I want to take a photo with you.
Photo with you, exactly. And
So,
Amjad bhai, this is the question, that basically in terms of uh, like a lot of people think about, the members we have, many of them currently doing their full-time employments, and I think they'll be thinking about, probably when is the right time to take the next step or take that journey, which will eventually take them there. So some people suggest maybe, the new ideal age for an entrepreneur is 45, but in your opinion, what you would advise, in terms of when is the right time to start?
there are people who become entrepreneurs at the age of 10. You go to Pakistan, I admire the ready wala, the guy who's got a four-wheel cart and he's got bananas and garlic and he's pushing it and he's saying, I've got the best bananas in whole of this town, come and buy it. You need guts, my friend. You need the courage, you need the determination, and you need to have the hunger. Don't be a Facebook warrior. Don't look at all these YouTube, these guys mentors and all these aspirational speakers, and you sit there and your energy level goes up and then you switch it off and then you go to sleep and next day you come and watch it again. For God's sake, मैं हाथ जोड़ता हूँ कि अगर यही काम करना है ना आप लोगों ने, if you want to do that, don't call yourself an entrepreneur. This is a therapy to actually keep you asleep.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right. It's like
jump
a
in the jump
drug,
in the
that
cold
you have.
water.
Yeah,
Jump in the cold
cold
water,
water.
right?
Take the
And
action.
breathe in the bloody oxygen, right? And go to war. Yeah,
Mm,
you know, now is the right time. Why? Post COVID, online marketing is going to go up, and I'll tell you, the fields that you really need to go into, right? Fundamentally, health foods, medicinal herbs, right? These are the value added stuff that is going. Mass education, right,
mm,
is going to be enormous. Green technologies are going to be enormous because people have suddenly realized these pharma companies are there. They've been just robbing us, right?
mm,
Then they're not giving you the right. So this fast food business, right, I think is been causing a lot of problems. So whole food, nourishing food, right, is going to be
mm,
something, right? Think of anything where there is pain in a customer's journey.
mm,
Look at the companies around you,
mm.
right, who are giving absolutely rubbish service, right? Go and set up a company to compete with them.
True, true.
If you're looking for a competition free environment, right, you better go to Mars and then set up your shop there, or go to the moon, but there'll be no customers there, right?
True.
Right? So actually competition is the very life blood of innovation and
Innovation.
creativity,
True, true.
right? So if you're
Wonderful.
afraid of competition, just keep working, because entrepreneurialism is not for everybody,
Known for
right?
everybody.
You've got to have the guts of steel. You've got to have a sharp mind to analyze the problem. You've got to take the risk, right? But a mitigated stick and a calculated risk. But you can't. There is also, there are some people that I've met in life who fit all these things. but they then get stuck in something I call the situation paralysis by analysis.
It-
So they want more data, they want more assurance, they don't want to step outside in the cold,
they're stuck
right?
in a cycle where they can
They're
never
stuck
have
in a
enough assurance to move on to
right.
the next level.
Okay,
Yeah,
for God's sake, if you're, you know yourself better than anybody else.
true,
You know,
true.
we all pretend to be something that we're not. Yeah.
I understand.
So if you know yourself, first get to know yourself.
True.
There are ways of knowing yourself. Do go on Google, do psychromatic tests. There are
Hmm.
all sorts of tests that tells you your personality traits, what you should be doing, right? Enrich yourself. Go read books.
True.
Farouk, by people, nowadays they do not read books. Read the
Yeah.
books of the people. Yeah, read factual books, do your research, don't get your information from WhatsApp groups. All they're doing is forwarding rubbish. So it's garbage in, garbage out. Yeah.
True. True.
Verify, for God's sake. Allocate your time, verify things.
Adding.
Once you've verified it, then actually dig deep. you know the
True.
the the tablets that you have, the smartphones you have, the computers that you have, for the you know Hazur Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, if you want
Sallallahu
knowledge,
alaihi
right, even if you have to go to China, travel. And then
travel.
there used to be camels and horses, and they used to travel to get the information. So if you look at our great scholars in Islam, they were always traveling.
True.
Yeah, always traveling to seek knowledge. Now you do not have to travel. Everything, right, in the world is in this. The whole of
That's true.
humankind's knowledge is in there. All you've got to do is have the vision, have the mission, have your strategic objectives, right? Create a beautiful team, right? Empower your team. Don't become Lalubai who wants to be the personality, right? Have a beautiful team. And
And
I assure you, inshallah, and in today's world, capitalism as it is, maximization of profit at the expense of exploitation, that model is finished.
finished. Yeah.
If you want
It's
to
no longer
actually,
there.
if you really want to grow your company now, base it on value system. Look at your deen, look at your religion, whether you're a Muslim,
And focus
Christian.
on people.
eh, yeah, focus on people and values, and create a
Values. Yeah.
culture.
True.
Create a culture that is actually developing your people.
People. True.
Don't
True.
talk down to them. Create the leaders of the future.
Future. Very true.
And Alhamdulillah, that is the way forward.
Sounds good. Yeah. I think Amrisa, we thoroughly enjoyed having conversation with you, and I'm sure my our viewers as well. And uh, just finally, I would say, if you would like to give just a piece of quick advice to our members of Careers 360, what would you like to say?
Uh, I am in no position to give advice to anybody. I would say that the path that I've been on for the last 5 years, 50 years, I can only relate my experience. And in my experience, grow yourself first. Become a better person. Become a good father. Become a good son, right? Become a good human being and learn. Be an adoptive person. Be
Very nice.
flexible. But remember, you know, if you have the basic principles which are based on humanity's values, when you have that personality, actually, what will happen, Farooq Saab, you become a magnet of attraction. Good people. Shakespeare says a man is known by the company he keeps. Keep good company, people who have value systems, right? People who care about humanity. Don't just be about, I want to become a billionaire. What are you going to do with those billions? Yeah.
True.
So care
True.
about humanity and focus on solving the problem for humanity. When you focus on that and you solve that problem, right, money will come.
No, definitely.
Don't
Definitely.
think about money first. Focus on solving the problem from humanity. right? And don't do something small, do something that has a global impact. Environment, look at the environment, look at the water, look at sanitation
True.
problems, right? Look at all this smog that is caused by diesel and petrol, right? We're
Mm,
moving to, electric cars, right? you know think out of the, do not let your imagination be limited.
true. True.
Sky is your limit when you learn, right? And inshallah,
Definitely.
you will succeed when you have the
Definitely.
value system, when you have the ideas, and you focus. Our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was
Um,
sent to guide mankind and service mankind. When you follow in his footsteps to service mankind and solve the mankind's problem, Allah will give you success,
inshallah.
inshallah.
So, very wonderful piece of advice, Amjad. Never limit your imagination. Always think big. And in terms of, you know, we must learn in terms of how we can not only build ourselves, but also we care about people around ours as well. So once again, Amjad Saab, thank you very much. Really appreciate that you've taken time to join us today. Inshallah, we'll touch base again soon. Thank you. Allah Hafiz.
Okay. Allah Hafiz. Allah Hafiz.